أحب أرحب بضيف عزيز جاء معنا وجاء إلينا الليلة الشيخ ويليام. I would like at the first of our episode tonight to welcome our guest Sheikh William King. So please greet him for coming. If you'd like to say something before we start.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. I just wanted to thank you all for inviting me to speak. I'm actually surprised that there's this many people, mashallah. I was expecting maybe 5 or 6 people. Alhamdulillah, it's nice to see. It's so nice to see my brothers as well. Brothers from another mother, as they say here. And, you know, it's a blessing to look upon all of your smiling faces. In this land, in this world that we live in, it's very important to have gatherings like this, mashallah, especially on Friday nights. It's nice that we come together and mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And you know, the angels are with us as well, and it's a nice place to come in a clean way. And may Allah increase us all in this way and give us Jannah for those.
Ameen. Ameen, Sheikh William. At the first, as usual, for any guest or new Muslims, new converters to Islam, this is a general question. What's lead you to Islam?
Bismillah. As we all know, Hidayah min Allah. Sometimes we don't see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is helping us in our life until we look backwards at our life and go, wow, I now look back on my life and see that Allah was with me all the time, even though I didn't know His name. And there's some times in my life where I even questioned, astaghfirullah, if there was God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I was young, I remember growing up here, and I was always questioning, I was always thinking about life and why we're here, what the purpose of life is. I even remember in elementary school when I was small, just thinking, you know, looking out at the world and looking out at the clouds and staring at them and just thinking, you know, why am I here? Like, and why am I not somebody else? Why am I me and not you? And I was always thinking, there's more to us as human beings than just what makes us up. All the doctors will know, like, we're made up of certain chemical components. You know, we have potassium and we have sodium and all these chemical components. But there's something more to us than all of these things put together. Same as the Ummah. The Ummah is made up of all of different components, but the Ummah is bigger and better than each of us altogether. This is the beauty of coming together. So I remember when I was 18, I moved, I graduated high school, I went to live with my relatives in Ontario for the summer, and they were Mormons. So this is a Christian sect of Christianity. They're very good people. They don't drink alcohol. They don't even drink coffee. They don't have relations before marriage. They pray a lot in the mornings, and I stayed with them for the summer. And I remember being in their family, and a lot of praying going on. They wanted me to become Mormon, and so I took all of the discussions to become Mormon, but there was a few things that made me stop. One was the fact, of course, that they believed that Isa alayhi salam was from the Son of God, astaghfirullah. And I never figured that out. I couldn't figure that out. So I remember one day I was walking along a path, and I had my bicycle. I had to take it back to Nova Scotia, but I didn't have the right wrench to take my bike apart and put it in the box because I was sending it back by a train. And I remember praying to God. I said, God, please help me. I need to take my bike apart. I don't have the right tool to take my bike apart. Please help me. And I remember later on that day, I'm walking along the road, a dirt road, and I notice something shiny. And I go and I pick it up, and it's a wrench. La ilaha illallah. Wallahi, it's a wrench, and I go home and it fits my bike. So I thought to myself, something's going on. There's something going on. And I was always thinking about, is there a creator or not? But as you grow in life, if you don't have a path, if you don't have rules and legislation to live by, you will start to go astray. You'll choose your own rules. If you don't have Allah's rules, you will make your own rules. And as you make your own rules, they don't come from any wahi. They come from your own nafs and from shaitan, and maybe some are good, but you go on your own way, so you start to get into trouble. Yeah. Especially here when you go into university. There's all kinds of pull for the youth and things like that. Allah protect us from this. So later on in life, I started wondering about God. And what happened is my mother had cancer. And she had cancer for about 20 years. And towards the end of her life, the doctor said she only had a few months to live, right? This is when you start to really think. When you're faced with death, you start to think, why am I here? What's going on? Where's my mother going? And I remember trying to go to sleep at night, and I was having depression, right? And anxiety and fear. And I remember I took care of my mother as she was dying. And it's funny that the brother just dropped this water off, and I remember towards the last few days of her life, she was having trouble eating and drinking. And I remember taking a little eyedropper and putting the water and putting it in her mouth. And just taking a little water and putting it around her lips. So I was taking care of my mother as she took care of me when I was young. And the Prophet ﷺ says, Al-Jannatu tahta aqdam al-umahad. I know my Arabic isn't very good, but the paradise lies at the feet of the mothers. So I believe that as I was taking care of my mother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was preparing a place for me to come into Islam. I just didn't know about it. I remember the night my mother died, because my path to Islam has a lot to do with my mother. And I remember the night my mother died, I went in around 2 in the morning to fix her head, because she was having trouble breathing and everything. It was very difficult. So I went in around 2 in the morning and I put the pillow under her head and I gave her a kiss on the forehead. And then I went back to sleep. So when I woke up the next morning, I went into her room and she had died. And the eyes too, right? The ruh, when it leaves the body, the eyes follow it. So when you see somebody that has left this existence, you will see the eyes will be looking at where the ruh leaves. So I saw this as well. And I was thinking, this looks different too. Like, why are the eyes looking this way? So the only thing I could think of at the time, I made this statement when I saw my mother. I said, the one who has authority over this creation, he has authority over the next life as well. So essentially, I think at that time, I had become Muslim, but I didn't know it, because I was submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. What can I do? And I was also saying, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. My mother is gone, but I don't make this decision. I have to accept it now. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that made this decision. So then,
it's like fitrah.
Like fitrah. So I thought, okay, there has to be a creator, and he is the one that gives life and he takes life. And I didn't know about Islam, but I just knew that there is God. So now I'm going around and I believe in God, and I believe in the oneness of God. But again, I don't have any rules to live my life. I make up my own rules now. So it's great. You have an understanding God is one, but you don't have any rules to follow. You don't have any direction. So again, you wander and you do your own thing. And then I met Brother Dia and Brother Muhammad Yafa. I remember I was working, selling some things at the flea market on Sundays, and Zia was selling things at the flea market, and I used to talk to him. And we got talking one time about, we were talking about God, and I said, yeah, I believe in God. And then he said, and we also believe, he was talking about Adam and Moses in English, and Jesus and Abraham. And I looked at him funny. I said, I know these names because I grew up with those names. And he said, yes, we believe in the prophets. So this got me really curious, because I was like, well, I didn't know you believed in all the names. So I went and I bought a book on Islam at the bookstore. It was called The Idiot's Guide to Islam. It's one of those books that are made for, simple reading. So I brought it home, and the first thing it said is, I skipped through some chapters. The first thing it said was that I read, Muslims believe in Isa. And I was like, wow, this is great. But they don't believe Isa is a son of God. They believe he's a messenger and a prophet. And I said, this is what I already believe. I believe this. So it started to scare me a bit, because I'm starting to see things I already believed, but I didn't know about it. So I said, why don't I know about this religion, Islam? And then I remember I went to Zia's house, and he had pizza ready for me, and Muhammad Yafa was there too. So they were doing, I didn't know what they were doing, but they were doing da'wah with me. And I had lots of questions to ask them, because I was doing some research on Islam. And I had questions like, why do Muslims can they have 4 wives? Why? And so they explained to me some answers, and they made sense to me, And then, some questions that always are, non-Muslims will ask a lot of questions. And why do the women wear a headscarf? Why does this happen? Why is it? So they were answering the questions, and they were answering the questions very simply and in a nice way. So their da'wah was very nice and gentle. And then they said, we think you should become Muslim. So like, whoa, hold on a second here. What's going to happen to me if I become Muslim? Like, is there going to be a lightning bolt that comes out of the sky? Like, it's very scary for somebody. Like, yeah. you don't know. Like, you live all your life and you think you are Christian, even though you don't really follow everything. But to all of a sudden say, oh, you're going to become Muslim, what am I going to have to do? Am I going to have to move to Mecca? Am I going to have to never eat hamburgers again? Do I have to always eat kapsa? Like, what's happening to me, right? So, you don't know. And you don't know what's going on in people's minds. They're thinking all these things. Like, oh, man. And I said, let me think about it. Let me think about it. So I went home, kind of like, oh, my God, this is like really interesting. Everything they were telling me, I really thought this made a lot of sense. Because you see, Islam is a religion of the head and the heart. There's other religions that appeal to the heart a lot, but Islam makes sense. So this is what scared me, is that what they were telling me made sense to me. And what I got from them, I could feel from them, my heart was inclined to them too, because I felt something. So it was scaring me a little bit. So what happened is they invited me the next day. And they weren't giving up on me, I guess, alhamdulillah. So I went again, and I sat with them, and they were talking to me again. And then, you know what, Brother Dia mentioned something, and it made a lot of sense to me. And I know one of the Sahaba that he had, I don't know which one, but he had used this logic with somebody as well to explain Islam to them and why you should become a Muslim. And he said, you have 4 ways to live your life. You can believe there is no God. And when you die, you find there's no God. Okay, no problem. No problem. Everything's okay. You'll be all right. You can live your life like there is a God, and you wake up after you die and you find out there is a God. You'll be good.
Yeah.
You can live your life like there is a God, and you find out there is no God. Okay. Or you live your life like there is no God, and you know in your heart already there is a God, don't you? And I said, yes, I know there's a God. He said, well, if you live your life like there's no God, and you find out there is a God, you're going to be
Big problem.
in trouble.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Ooh, I'm even tingling right now, because that's when you finally get to the point, when you're doing da'wah with somebody and you're finally getting to the point, the question should be, how can you not become Muslim? You already know there's a God. You know He's not three. You know He's one. How can you not become Muslim? This is why truly someone who rejects Islam is called kafir, because he knows the truth and he covers the truth.
Yeah.
Right? There's many people out there right now that we can't really call kafir because they have never been given the message. We don't know what's in their heart. But once someone has the message given to them and then they say no, then they're covering it up. So they said, so we think you should become Muslim. And I just was like, yeah, you're right. So okay, go ahead. So then they said, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. And at the time, I know I was trying to say it, and they were probably going over it longer. Alhamdulillah. And then I remember they gave me a CD with the Quran recitation on it, and I remember putting it in the car on the way home. And I'm just like, wow, what just happened to me, And I remember I was listening to it on the way home, and I said, I've never heard anything like this at all in my life. Like, I never heard anything like it in my life. It just was amazing. And then you start to learn how to pray. You start to, what's Fajr, what's Dhuhr, what's Asr, what's Isha, what's Maghrib, what's Salah, what's Raku, what's Sajud, what's Ramadan, what's fasting, you're just like, what's a lot to know. This is why as brothers we have to be very gentle with the new Muslims, because they have a lot
of things.
They don't even know La ilaha illallah. They can't even say Allah. They say Allah. Allah. We coming at them hard sometimes. Brother, 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 brother. It's like, whoa, You have to be very gentle with them. And I remember a funny story. I don't think his brother Umar here. I'm not sure. There's a brother,
Omar?
The one who works with the chocolate store. Brother Umar.
Is Omar here? Upstairs?
Upstairs. I remember, it was funny, I went to St. Mary's one time to pray in the Musalla at St. Mary's. And I grew up here, so I was wearing shorts. But my shorts were above my knee. And this is how I grew up here dressing.
Like Bermuda.
Yeah, like Bermuda. And this is how I grew up. So, I remember I started to make salah at the Musalla. And Umar, there was a table like this with a tablecloth. And Umar went, and he came up behind me with the tablecloth and he wrapped me up. So I was like, okay. So afterwards, he said, and he was very gentle with me too, very gentle. He said, if you go for a job interview or if you are going to meet someone important, you would dress in a certain way. So in front of the Creator, we just make sure we're covered. So even the men, the women have a way, they have the hijab, the men have a way we have to dress, alhamdulillah. So that was really nice, and now I see him all the time. But this was, a lot of things happen after you become Muslim, and you're running around and you're doing funny things. And I remember my first fast. I became Muslim about a month before Ramadan. So Ramadan came, I was like, okay, what's this fasting all about? And they said, well, you don't eat or drink anything from or very early in the morning, before the sunrise, until the sun sets. I said, oh, really? So I remember my first day. So I knew that I was going to fast, and I went to bed, you know, and I was trying to prepare myself. Oh man, I got to get up early. So I remember I got up really early, and I put out 5 big glasses of water. I put out 3 bowls of cereal. I put out some pancakes, and I put out some fruit, and I said, I got to get myself all ready for this whole day, right? So I stuffed myself. I just went crazy. So, of course, by around 10 in the morning, my stomach, you know, oh, like, what did you do? You just ate so much food, astaghfirullah. So the fasting was very difficult. The first fast was very difficult. Around 2 in the afternoon, you know, I would just start to fall asleep, you know.
How long you have been a Muslim?
Most 8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah.
So now you fast Ramadan for 8 times.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So I made it through, but there was funny times. You know, I thought I was doing really well my first fast, but now when I look back at it, I could see where I was making mistakes. But Allah is merciful, right? But, you know, I do remember making some funny mistakes too, where Zia likes to tell this story because he gets a laugh out of it, but it was around 1 hour left. 1 hour left. And I was driving taxi, and I see I had half a thing of Pepsi there, sitting there beside me. And I kept looking, I kept looking at it. And this Pepsi bottle, it was like dancing, you know? It was going, look at me, look at me. And I was going, no, no, no. Yes, look, look. So I said, oh man, I'm getting thirsty. I'm almost 1 more hour. Okay, I'll just have a sip. So I put the cap back on. So I said, and then I didn't drink anything more for 1 more hour, waiting till the fast ended, right? See, you don't know the fiqh, right? So at the end, I told Zia, yeah, you know, I fasted the whole day. I only had 1 sip. Astaghfirullah. So he said, you know what? Alhamdulillah, you're learning. But you know, your fast, you could have, if you have the sip, you might as well just drank the whole thing, right? Your fast was over. So alhamdulillah, as new Muslims, everybody's learning. And you know, we have to remember that the Sahaba, they had time that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran did not come all at once. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, if the Quran had come all at once, nobody would have followed. Because it would have been too hard, right? The Sahaba, they were still drinking khamar, right? Khamar. And then the Prophet ﷺ, the revelation came down at different stages to get them away from that. The Sahaba originally, when they were making their salah, they were talking to each other. How are you doing? Everything's okay? And the Prophet ﷺ would teach them. But it happened gradually. Yeah. So when the Muslims come into Islam, we have to be very gentle with them and very gradual with them, realizing that all of us have had our whole lives to learn different things, and not to overwhelm them too much, alhamdulillah. But Islam has been the best thing that happened to my life. There's been a lot of tests. It's been very difficult. But this is what Allah says in Surah Al-Ankabut, in the first few verses, about you say you believe, and yet you don't think you'll be tested. So, as Muslims, we say we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we don't think Allah will test us. We know that Allah tests us. That is our purpose here on life, is that we will be tested. So it's been very difficult time in some ways, but it's been very easy because as you're being tested, you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with you, and you know that He will not test you in a way that is greater than your capacity to go with it. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I don't know if you have another question, inshallah.
Yeah, mashallah, from your answer, you almost cover most of my questions. But I have one more question. What did Islam add to your personality? How did you describe yourself before Islam? And what changed in William after Islam?
Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. One of the main things that Islam gives people is if you love someone for the fathers here, if you love your son, the mothers who love their daughters or sons, for the brothers who love their sisters, if you love someone, what do you do with them? You give them guidance, you give them rules, you help them. You don't let them do everything they want to do, because you know that's bad. That'll be bad for them. So you are always there. If you love somebody, you care for them, you help them, you teach them. And sometimes you give them rules, and sometimes the people don't like that. Oh, Mama, you say I can't go out at 8 o'clock at night. No, you have to be at home. But later on in life, then you realize, oh, Mama loved me. She told me I couldn't stay out at night. I had to come in. Now I know that she loved me. She was caring for me. So the same thing, of course. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is exalted above His creation, and we do not compare Him with the creation. But if you know the love of Allah has for us, then you see that the rules that He has set forth for us are for our own good. And that's what Islam has given me. It's given me guidance so we don't stray too far and we don't lose ourselves. And this is the strength of Islam, is the guidance. And this is what the biggest misunderstanding is out there about Islam, is people think that Islam is a religion of all kinds of harsh rules. But really, Islam is about, like in fiqh, everything is in worldly matters, everything is permissible, except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made impermissible. In religion, everything is impermissible, except what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made permissible by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So like how we pray, we don't make up our own prayer, we follow, right? But what we want to eat, we can eat anything we want to, except the few things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made impermissible. So Islam is a religion of bounty, and it's a religion of ease. It's just we make it sometimes harder on ourselves. Allah has created a faith for us that is ease, if we know how beautiful it is. And the rules that are set forth for us are for our benefit. So what Islam has helped me with is giving me those guidance that I needed. Like, you know, let's face it, growing up here as a Canadian, your whole, you know, social scene, really, and everybody knows this, everybody is out on the weekends drinking, you know? They're not bad people. They're not bad people. They just don't have that guidance given to them. And it's sad, because there's a lot of good people out there that are getting themselves into trouble. And they're very good. They're good-natured. We see it. We've seen some very nice adab from Canadians. But we see the aqidah is not there, and the guidance is not there. And that's what Islam has to offer the people. So, you know, the staying away from the alcohol, the staying away from the looking at women, the staying away from some of these things, it changes you into a better person, because it's coming from the Creator. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
You know, I just want to let some of the youth here that are here know that I know that there's difficulties out there. It's not an easy world anymore, where you're getting hit with so many different things from every angles. But coming from myself, Islam is a faith that if you hang on to the rope of Allah, you will find happiness, you'll find safety, you will find companionship with good people that care about you, and you'll find yourself. You'll find Allah wants to have you lifted up. A true friend wants to lift you up, not put you down, you know? So some of the friends out there that are you know, right now on a Friday night, they're saying, hey, let's go party, right? They're not caring about you. They just are caring about themselves, you know? Because when it really comes down to it, if there's trouble, they'll say, see you later. Bye-bye. You're on your own. But the Muslim Brotherhood, I've seen things that are, it's just amazing. Perfect strangers that are willing to just, and you know, I have to say that the Arab hospitality, mashallah, you know, just people that will just do things that you don't even know who you are, and they will do things for you that even your own family here don't.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, why? Well, because you're my brother, you know? And we do have a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it, you know, inshallah, more people find out about it, inshallah. I noticed there was a group of students, I don't know where they were from, but they were collecting garbage. Did you see that story?
Yeah.
They were collecting garbage on the side of the road, mashallah, and they were Muslims. You could see the names. And I said, this is beautiful.
Mashallah.
This is a beautiful,
How they behave.
beautiful thing, alhamdulillah.
Okay, so time is running, and I know you are Sheikh William. You are a little bit busy and you have to go, but sitting with you, it's not boring at all, listening to your stories and your advices. So any last word you want to say to the audience, the Saudi Society member, and any last word?
Bismillah. Again, I just wanted to thank you very much for asking me to come and speak, alhamdulillah. And I just, with your permission, Mr. Sheikh, I just want to mention this project.
Sure.
My wife and I, my wife is from Somalia, and I've been married to her for 7 years, alhamdulillah. We both have teenagers at home. My wife has 3 children from a previous marriage, and one's 21, one's 18, and one's 16. They're boys. So we are thinking, you know, what we see is also in the community, we need some things for the young people to do. We need places that the young people can go to just, instead of going out somewhere where they shouldn't, we need places for the Muslim youth to go. So, inshallah, my wife and I, we're opening a place, inshallah, in September. It's going to be on Almond Street, across from Rona, across from Shoppers. It's going to be on the ground floor, about 1,400 square feet. We're going to have some big screen TV to watch football. We'll have foosball tables. We'll have a place where they can just play some video games, the non-violent video games. So we will only allow we won't allow the gun games, the killing games, and all this stuff, you know. And we'll have a place where you can get pizza, some chips, pop. And we'll open, inshallah, late on Fridays and Saturdays for the young people. Because Islam also is a religion of alternatives. We can't always say to young people, haram, 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 but then not give them something. So we have, the Prophet ﷺ was always giving an alternative of goodness. You know, you're not supposed to do this, but you can do this, you know. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in the Sawm, He says, stay away from your wives during the days when you're fasting. But in the nights, you know, and this is the beauty of Islam, is sometimes for this, sometimes for that, as the Prophet ﷺ said, to find the balance. So, what I'll do is I'll email you some information, Sheikh, and maybe you can distribute it so everybody's aware of what the program is, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So we'll have, we've got sisterzone.ca and we've got mylockerroom.ca. So we have one space, but we'll have sometimes for just sisters and sometimes just for brothers. And a place, so the sisters, for instance, they can just go, they can have chai, something to do, and they don't have, you know, any of the men around. And then we can have a place also for sometimes the brothers can come by themselves, inshallah. So make dua for us, and I'll send some emails out, so inshallah you're aware of the program, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Okay, Sheikh, there is one question from one of the audience. Have you been to Mecca before?
Oh, in my heart. I have to be careful how you say qalb.
Yeah.
Because when you first learn Arabic, you know, and the qalb and kalb is so close. And you astaghfirullah, you know, and if you say the wrong thing, you totally, and the people are like, this guy's majnoon, you know, like, oh man. So no, in my heart,
Inshallah.
one day, inshallah, yeah.
When you are planning for
Once our kids, we can get things going with them once they move, inshallah.
Inshallah.
We have, you know, of course you have debts and different things you'll have to worry about. And inshallah, maybe we'll go and live, maybe Medina or something, inshallah.
Inshallah.
As the time goes on and we're living in an akhirah zaman, and may Allah protect us from Dajjal and the fitna that's going to happen, and maybe we will maybe look at Medina, inshallah.
Okay, thank you for Sheikh William.
Jazakallah khair, barakallahu feek.
Greeting for him, please.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
May Allah bless you. It's so nice. So I'll just run, inshallah.
Yeah,
Okay,
inshallah.
jazakallah khair.